Yo, I'm not eating this time. Woo! All right, I'm gonna tell you a story. This is a true story. This has happened in the last 72 hours. It's a story about two different vendors that we work with. So our company's here in Marietta, Georgia. We have a phone service and we have an internet service. Now, I'm going to tell you a story about the two of them. This actually is happening now live while we're talking. And I'm going to tell you the three lessons that you can learn from our experience with these two vendors. And the irony of it is they're separate vendors. They're not connected. They're not related. But how we use them is interrelated. So our office is in Marietta, Georgia. I live out here in Conyers. I have a VoIP phone that connects to our network at the office. So I can log into my computer at the office through Google Remote Desktop. And it's just like I'm sitting at my desk at the office. And when the phone rings at the office, it rings here in my home office. I can answer other people's extensions, do all the same. It's just like I'm sitting in the office. Remote working, right? So these two vendors are separate. They're not connected. They don't work together, but we use them together. And so it's the phone service and the internet. So we have internet service through and I'll decide during this story whether I mention the name of the company or not. It depends how ticked off I get. And so what happened, today's Friday. So on Wednesday, the internet went down. Now I knew the internet went down because I came up to my office here about 7:30 in the morning, like I usually do. And my phone says connecting to remote host. Well, the only reason it says connecting to remote host is because the connection was broken. And that usually happens because we'll get, if there's a storm in Atlanta and the electricity in the office building goes out for a second, the system resets and so it doesn't connect to the VoIP phones. But all the internet was down. So as soon as I know that, I call the company that takes care of our internet service. And they said there's a system-wide outage, that they were doing an update and there's a system-wide outage. And so other people in our companies that live in the area said, yeah, our wife at work, her service is all down. So, it's not a big deal. I call Comcast. They tell me that's true. The service comes back on, takes 2 or 3 hours. Frustrating, but, stuff happens. And in the meantime, the phones are working. So you can make phone calls out of the office and we can receive phone calls in the office. As soon as they reconnected, which takes 2 or 3 hours, and they were good. When I called them, you get the automated thing that says, we'll run a test. They run the test. They give you the disclaimer that there's a problem with it. You can option for them to call you and tell you that the service is back on. So they did all that. The communication was pretty good with that. So the service comes back on, but our phone goes out. So that's kind of odd, right? The phone's working just fine. The service comes back on and it knocks our phone system out. So I call the phone company that we use. Now, when I called Comcast, it's a little frustrating because it's all automated and you have to jump through these automated hoops to get anybody. So the first thing they ask you for, I actually thought about doing it live for you. The first thing they ask you for is the zip code. Well, if I'm not at the office and I enter the zip code that the service is at, because that's what they ask for, it comes back and says, we don't recognize service at this zip code. Well, what they're really saying is they don't recognize my phone number. They're capturing the phone number. So then they want you to give their account number. Not a big deal. I've got all that information here. I enter the account information. And they say, what can we help you with? Do you want, because it's an internet service that provides a business internet for us, okay? So it's blank business. Fill the blank, it starts with a C. So is it, is it your phone, internet, or an agent? Is that, Which do you want? And you say agent. And they say, okay, well, let's see if we can help you. And they just repeat it again, which I don't know why they do that. So then you get the agent on the phone, and clearly it's a third-party vendor that they're using. And so they ask you the exact same information. So they want your either account number or, to verify the address, the same thing that you just went through, which I get their third-party vendor, they're transferring it over, but inside their system, it's just a field, right? It's just a field that could go. They probably hit a radio button, and when they transfer the call, they just transfer the data with it. It just goes in a packet. It's not like a big deal. I don't understand why they do that. So that part was really frustrating. But on the other hand, once we told them that we're still having a problem, they said, we'll send a technician out. So this happened Wednesday. We got the internet service back up Wednesday. I called them Thursday morning and said, we're still having a problem. Now, I called them about between 7:30 and 8. That's usually when I come into my office here. And they said, we'll have somebody out there between 10 and 12. Same day. Now, the reverse happened with the phone company. I called the phone company on Wednesday. Remember, all this happened on Wednesday. I called the phone company on Wednesday. And what they do is they ask for your account number, electronic, through their service. And they immediately connect me with somebody. I mean, just like that. And they go in and they say, yeah, there's a problem on it. We'll work on it. And then we'll contact you in the next 2 hours. And if we can't get it working, we'll send somebody out there. So I'm like, oh, heck, cool. Right on. The other company, the internet company, did that. And they were spot on. So late in the afternoon on Wednesday, I sent an email because I got to I'm not telling the story good, am I? So they said, we'll open a ticket. We'll work on it. We'll call you back within 2 hours. So I get an email saying the ticket's open. I reply back to the ticket and say, hey, it's like the end of the day. We're losing money because we can't get phone calls. Can you kind of tell me what's going on? And the response I got back is you can't reply to this ticket. So I call them again. We're working on it. Sorry, we'll keep you updated. So then we go through Thursday. Same thing. Except Thursday, they email me 3 times and say, we're working on it. Have confidence. We believe in you. And last night, do the phone call again. They send me an email. They say, we're going to send a third-party vendor out to do it. Now, here I am, Friday. This was the 3rd day with no phone service. And let's look at what happened yesterday. Yesterday at 11:05, the internet service provider showed up. I had sent some information that I wanted my staff to print off and give to this person. Got on the phone with me. We talked about it. He replaced the modem. Did all the settings the way we talked to him about doing it. Left us the URL and the user ID and password to log into the modem so our third-party vendor can do this if we need to. And they were all done by 1 o'clock yesterday. So they were difficult to get on the phone. But once you got them on the phone, and they were like that. Now, the phone company was really easy to get on the phone, but there's no communication. So here we are, a 3rd day, no phones. Can't make a phone call out, can't make a phone call in. So there's 3 lessons here. The first lesson is make it easy for your customers to interact with you. Business processes should be all about the customer, not about what's easy for the business. I get that you want to stack your responses. I get that you want to do things virtually and digitally as much as you can. I get all that. But somewhere in that process, you have to make it easy for the customer to interact with you. And these two companies show stark examples of that. So the phone company makes it really easy. You enter your account number, you push a button to tell them what service you want to talk about, and they pop somebody on the phone for you. And that person then runs a little, put you on hold and runs the test. The other, the internet service, wants you to drill down and give them the zip code you're in, the account number, the address. Then they want to run a test before you can talk to somebody. And I get that. It's less expensive for them to do that than get somebody on the phone. But it's not less expensive if they end up having to send somebody out anyway, right? So make it really easy for your customers to communicate with you. The second thing is just do what you say you're going to do. I mean, if you say you're going to do something, just make sure that it happens. And the reason that's so critical is because everything that we've done in the past 3 days was predicated on what we were promised. And that is exactly what happens. When you tell your prospect that you're going to do something, or I mean, your customer that you're going to do something, or that something's going to happen, they hear that as a promise. It's not just a statement, it's a promise. And everything they do after they get off that call with you is predicated in the back of their mind on that promise taking place. And the longer they go that the promise doesn't take place, the more your approval rating in their heart, you want to aim for people's heart, not their head, moves from great company to they suck. And that's what people tell. That's what people tell other people. If they get really good service, most of the time we don't repeat the really good service to somebody. But we tell the story of the really lousy service to everybody, right? So if I get a phone call and the internet went out and an hour later it came back on, I don't tell the person, hey, our internet just went down and came right back on. I tell them our internet went down. They promised it would be fixed. We've been sitting here all day with. I tell the whole story about it because that's an emotional experience. When you do what you say you're going to do, it's a rewarding experience when we feel rewarded and we can move on with our day. But when you don't do what you say you're going to do, then that becomes an emotional experience it's not good. And we're going to repeat that. So make it really easy for your customers to do business with you. Now, what's a key to make it really easy for your customers to do business with you? Well, one of the things I would tell you is actually interact with your company as the customer does. So when you create a process, step out of the office, either mentally or physically, and then interact exactly the way the prospect would do it. So for example, for the internet service, you call in and find out what the customer experience actually is, not what your flowcharts tell you it should be, not what your mapping says it should be. Find out what the service actually is. And build that service out in the order you want people to use it. That's what these phone things do. That's why they go through all these hoops they want you to jump through. Because what they're doing is, it's called reductionism. They're reducing their interaction with you in a human level because that's the most expensive interaction to have. And so I get that. I don't have a problem with that. But make it easy. For example, when you use a voice, an automated voice trigger, and you give people 3 choices, pause in between for them to react. So like if you tell me, you can either say your account number or you can enter your account number, I'm going to start entering my account number. But if the third option is, or push 3 if you need to talk to somebody, I've already started entering my account number. I already started entering it. And so what happens is the whole system pauses for you to come back. There's nothing else I can do. I can't push any other buttons. For you to come back and tell me, well, we don't recognize that. Because I didn't finish pushing the account number in because the third option was push 3 to talk to somebody. Well, that's what the hell I want to do to begin with. But I don't know that you're going to tell me 3 options. If you had said, listen to your three options, then I would have listened to all three of them. But when you say, tell us your account number or enter it on the keypad, then I start entering it on the keypad before I hear you say or push 3 to talk to somebody. And your system won't let me get out of that. I have to go through that loop. That's an example of what I mean by make it easy for your customers to interact with you. Do what you say you're going to do. Let me tell you what customers like. They like the truth. Even if the truth is bad news, they like the truth. I'll give you another example of that. Recently, my wife and I bought security doors at Home Depot. We bought them at Home Depot because we have an account there. And if you buy it and pay for it in 12 months, you don't pay any interest on it. So we spent, I don't know, $1,000, $1,200, something like that. And they were going to install the doors, bring them out and install them. We bought the locks from them. We did everything through them. This is at Home Depot. And when we were paying for it, and we picked out the black door. You had a white door and a black door. When we were paying for it, the guy said the black doors are $56 more a piece. And I was like, well, wait a minute. Well, slow down. I go back over to the sign, and on the sign, they have a white door displayed. And on the sign, it just gives the price, and it says the color options are black and white. I said, where does it say that the black door is $56 more? And why am I being charged more for a different color? It's a pigment that you're not paying any more for black paint than you're paying for white paint. But why do you wait till you're ringing me up to tell me that I'm going to pay whatever it was, $100 and something more because I picked a black door, and you didn't tell me that when we're going through the whole process? He said, well, that's the way they charge it, and that's set up in the system. I said, but that has nothing to do with me. There's nothing on this sign here that says you pay more for a different color. Your sign says the door is this much money, and here's your 2 color options. That's what the sign says. It just shows 2 color options. There's nothing in a bracket that says the different color than the display one is a higher price. There's nothing that says that. We get the store manager. Yeah, you're right. Okay, and they take the price off. Okay, good job. A little frustrating. Okay, good job. Then they say as soon as we pay for it, the service company that's going to deliver the doors is going to call us and schedule a time. Stuff happens. It's a pandemic. People got their stimulus money. People are spending a lot of money. Good for Home Depot. Good for Lowe's. They're getting a lot of business. I'm glad that's happening. 2 weeks go by. Don't hear a thing. I call. Get the manager on the phone. Can you help me understand what's going on? We haven't heard a word about it. They were supposed to call us. I mean, at least call and say, hey, we don't care about your business. We're going to keep your money. I mean, whatever you're going to tell me, call me and tell me something, okay? She stops and checks for a second, comes back, says, I'm sorry. Someone will call you tomorrow. We'll schedule it to come out. Don't hear anything. Another week goes by. My wife calls, and they say, you ready for it? Nobody ordered the doors. Sorry about that. Okay. So now we're 3.5 weeks into this. Another 2 weeks go by. Haven't heard a word. Call back in. And they say, hey, I'm sorry, but actually, anytime a business tells you actually is not a good word, right? Actually, the manufacturer quit making the doors, and it's just not in the system. So we're in almost 2 months, month and a half, going on 2 months. They tried to charge me more for a different color, even though they gave you the 2 different colors as an option. They gave us the money back. They said they would call to schedule the install. They never called. Then we call and find out they never ordered it. They say they're going to order it, and we don't hear anything for a couple of weeks. Then we call. Notice we're doing all the calling. They're not contacting us. And then they say, oh, son of a gun, could have had a V8. The manufacturer stopped selling it. It's still in our system. We shouldn't have had the door up there. We'll refund all your money. You see what I mean? Make it easy to do business with you. That wasn't easy. The phone company wasn't easy. Comcast was really easy to get them out, but not easy to get a hold of them. So make it easy to do business with you. Do what you say you're going to do. I mean, all that happened at Home Depot is they just didn't set a trigger up, or somebody ignored the trigger. Just do what you say you're going to do. The phone company still hasn't done it. I already checked with them this morning, and they still can't tell me when someone's going to come out. So we still don't have phone service. We got internet. We got a new modem. The guy set it up the way we needed to set up. He left us all the information I asked him to lay for. They did a great job, super job, really super job. And that brings me to the third thing. So the first thing is make sure you're easy to do business with. Do what you say you're going to do. And the third thing is communicate. People like one thing the most. They just want the truth. So even if the truth is bad news, tell them the truth. If Home Depot had called us and said, hey, I'm really sorry they didn't order that, and then when we tried to order it, we realized that the manufacturer quit doing it. We're willing to let you come in and pick a different door. We'll give you a discount for doing it. We'll give you half off the installation. They did nothing to try and keep our business. And my wife had to go to the store to even get the refund, which is crazy, right? Because we did it on our Home Depot credit card. Just do what you say you're going to do. Just communicate with people. And here's the thing about communicating with people. Think of what it costs to get a customer in your store. Think about what it costs to get a customer. Think about the cost of your marketing department putting together the advertising. Think about the money you're spending in the advertising to get your message in front of prospects. Think of the cost of your staff interacting with people when they come into your store. Think of the cost of your supplies and keeping your supplies stocked and keeping the store up so the customers can see what's for sale. Think of all that cost that's involved. And then you don't communicate with the customer and lose money. You're not just losing the revenue off that one sale. You're making the cost of running your business more expensive because you're bringing people in that you're not converting. So even if the news is bad news, tell them what's bad news. And then tell them what you're willing to do to have them as a customer and keep their business. It's the experience that people have in dealing with you that matters more than the end product. The people will even forgive a weak product once they get it. They'll even forgive that if the service is really, really good. We bought a stationary bike, exercise bike, and had it for a few months, and the pedal broke off. And we contacted the manufacturer, and they didn't tell us, and the pedal was kind of welded in there. So they could have sent a new frame part for the pedal, and I could have taken the pin out of it and the bolt out of it. They sent a new bike. They sent a new bike. So we bought 3 other things from that company. Even though the product was a little weak, their response to the problem told us that this is a company that stands behind their product, stands behind their service, and stands for their customer. So let me wrap this up here. And I did it without naming the 2 companies and without being ticked off or using really foul language, which is kind of surprising for me when I get mad. So the first thing I want you to think about is make it easy for your customers to do business with you. And the only way you will know how easy it is to do business with your customer is if you interact with your company as a customer. And everybody should do that, from the delivery and service people to the CEO of the company. Everybody should do that. Every single person that works for that company should know exactly what the experience is of doing business with your company. And the second thing is do what you say you're going to do. Even if you have to go out of your way, work after hours, or it costs you additional money. the amount of goodwill you're going to get back is more than worth the effort that you go through. Besides the fact that you have an ethical responsibility to do the right thing for your customer because it's the right thing to do. Just do what you say you're going to do. And then thirdly, the last thing, but not the least, is communicate. Even if you have bad news to tell your customer, tell them immediately. And it's okay for them to not have a great reaction. I know that one of the worst jobs in the world is working with the public. I get that. But that's what we chose to do. So a customer being unhappy with a process or a result isn't a reflection of the value of the person interacting with them. You're still a good and worthwhile human being, and you bring value to your company, and you have great impact on the customers that you work with. This individual customer is just having an issue that says about them. It's not really about you. I mean, any company that does good training is going to train you to understand that. But just communicate with your customer. And when you do those three things, when you make it easy to do business with you, you'll get more business. When you do what you say you're going to do, you'll get repeat business. And when you communicate with your customer, you'll build a tribe. I mean, drive by any Starbucks, and the line is always around the corner. Drive by any Chick-fil-A, and the line is always backed up because they do those three things really, really well. So I hope you learned something from this experience. I would like for you, if you're on the YouTube channel, click on the subscribe button, click that little alarm clock there so you get notified every time I put a video up there. But I would like for you to tell me any stories you've had of experiences with companies in any of the ways that we've been talking about today. If you're on the Sales Heroes private group, just same thing. Tell me what your experience is. And if you're on LinkedIn, you make a comment there and let me know about an experience that you had and what the company did that was really good, and maybe something the company could have done that was better. And let's all learn from each other. All right, there you go. Thanks for listening. Appreciate you being my virtual therapist there, and I was glad to be able to get this out there. Talk to you next time.